Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Socially Desi Show, the podcast that motivates you to live, create, and inspire. If this is your first time here, welcome. On our show, we discuss tips and strategies with our guest speakers on how to tackle problems related to personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. So hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com for more of such content. Today, I'm joined by Mr. Vivek Sagar. He is the CEO and founder of HopeQure. Hello, Sagar. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for inviting me, Anurag.
It's a pleasure, Vivek. It's a pleasure to be hosting you on the show today. So, Vivek, to our audience who are not aware about HopeQure, please tell us about your journey into curating and founding the company.
Sure. So, HopeQure is an online mental wellness platform where the psychologist and client come together,
Mhm.
and the clients can access the psychologist for counseling. But HopeQure also has the corporate employee wellness program where the corporates come in and access the programs for the employees. Okay. And but as far as the journey is concerned, it's a long journey. While HopeCure is a young company, my journey is almost like in the field of tech, advanced tech, is almost 30 years old. Okay, so but HopeCure is interesting from the fact that we realize that almost 20% of India and 50% of youth need interventions through professional mental counseling, mental health counseling by the professionals,
Mhm.
and we also realize that if the intervention happens in time,
Mhm.
major challenges can be avoided.
What sort of challenges are we talking about?
So the mental health, if the mental illness, in case if it is not intervened and corrected and cured in the beginning, it starts manifesting into a physical problem.
Hmm.
And the cost of handling one or multiple physical diseases is multiple times of what the cost of handling a mental illness is. Okay, in US this has been termed as five times of the actual cost of handling a mental illness. So my suggestion to everyone is always that if you have any kind of slightest of doubt on your mental health, go get a counseling and cure it before it starts manifesting into a physical problem.
All right, all right. And what were the initial challenges? Like you said, HopeCure is a young company. So, what were the early days concepts of the business, and what were the initial challenges when you thought of launching HopeCure?
So in HopeCure, our biggest challenge is the stigma that people have towards counseling.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, what I find is that sometimes when there is a need for curing the illness, people don't realize that they have to cure it. They have to recognize the problem first, and the biggest problem isn't recognizing the problem. The stigma, actually only 70% of the total actual mental illness cases are ever see a counselor. Only 30% cases ever see a counselor. 70% of the clients or the patients do not even recognize this as a problem, and that is where the problem is. So the data, as far as India is concerned, is almost 20% of India is having some kind of a need for mental illness intervention by a professional, and out of this, majority are between depression and anxiety. Okay, the two most common disease, and we would say we stand with the top five countries across the globe as far as anxiety and depression is concerned.
Hmm.
So handling this in the early stages much more is very very important.
And these are really alarming numbers, right?
These are like in hundreds of millions. So globally, it's a billion number. Almost a billion people globally are affected by mental illness. In India, it's around 120 million, and this is not a small number.
And Vivek, the main thing that we look at these days, right? You must have even noticed this when the whole lockdown started back in March. Throughout April and May, we actually saw a lot of online discussions when it came to mental health and the dynamics which were getting changed. Right, a lot of people actually started speaking about their mental issues, their mental health. We saw a lot of celebrities even talking about it on their social media. They came out and freely spoke about this. So what sort of changes have you seen being in the business and interacting with clients, interacting with other therapists and counselors? What sort of dynamics have you seen change from 2019 to 2020, especially with this whole pandemic in place?
So 2020 has been a Y2K moment for healthcare.
Hmm.
Okay. We saw, as far as technology is concerned, we saw pre Y2K era and post Y2K era.
Yep.
And so we would now, in 2020, we saw another moment of Y2K, where post 2020, we would have a different kind of healthcare altogether. It is also a Y2K moment for mental health because not only COVID impacted people. Okay, there were two major discussions happening in the month of March and April. One was, or a little later, one was COVID and second was SSR.
Yep.
Yeah. So both the incidences impacted people significantly to recognize this as a problem. And we found that with every lockdown continuation, almost the traffic increased by more than 20%. Yeah. Initial traffic initially in initial days the traffic was very high, and subsequently we found that the serious cases, the clinical cases were increasing and they're increasing tremendously, almost at the rate of 20%. And as we entered into September, August, September, and October, we found the behavioral and the relationship cases increasing, and premarital, postmarital cases increasing. So, what was earlier depression and anxiety, uh,
Hmm.
primarily influenced by COVID, later on became more of a breakup, relationship, behavioral issues, counseling for behavioral issues, primarily impacted by COVID.
So can we say like this actually turned from something which was getting affected by the pandemic to something which was basically a lifestyle problem that we had and the kind of relationship issues that we had, but it was somewhere how to put it, somewhere buried inside us, and then it just erupted throughout this whole pandemic.
Yes, when number of people are under one roof in a small confined area, okay, and when they have different interests, so it is bound to happen. Okay, and that's where 2020 has taught us adjustments and compromise and sacrifice, which was slowly, as a lifestyle, was slowly getting missed from our daily lifestyle. But now I guess our generation is a lot more adjusting.
But when you talk about generation, what sort of cases have you seen emerge more in which age group? Like, when you talk about relationship issues, is it happening with the younger generation more, or somewhere in their mid 30s or 40s, or later on in their stage? How do you basically bifurcate these kind of issues with respect to the age groups?
So yes, we did see people breaking stigma and coming out for counseling openly, which was 18 to 35 range, 18 to 35 years of range. But from 18 to 25, we saw more of a relationship issues, and 25 to 35, we saw more of the depression and anxiety related issues.
And when it comes to the virtual therapy sessions, I'm sure HopeQure is doing a lot of good work in this field. So, can you explain the whole virtual therapy sessions and how are they being conducted, and what is the acceptance rate of these online therapy sessions? Because earlier, like you said in the starting that it's a social stigma in our country and it's still prevalent. So like the small amount of people who are still going for these kind of therapy sessions earlier used to go for a one-on-one therapy sessions, right? And they still used to keep all these sessions under wraps, and they used to keep it hidden from their family and friends. But now with this whole virtual therapy sessions in place, everyone under one roof, how are these being conducted, and how are people accepting it?
Okay, so the acceptance has surprisingly the acceptance has increased tremendously during the COVID period. I would say, see the 101 session, a person has to move out of his house. They have to drive through to a place, the psychologist clinic. They have to find a place for parking, wait for the psychologist because one session is lasting like from 50 minutes to 60 minutes, sometimes even longer.
Right.
So, in case if they reach the psychologist place in the mid of a session, they have to wait for a good 1 hour for the psychologist to take them in the next session. And at times, this waiting is a little longer also. So, but in online counseling, the best thing was people were coming out openly. They were discussing their challenges with our in-house psychologists, and our in-house psychologists were recommending them the actual therapist with whom they can go ahead and get the session. So the only dilemma or the confusion that the clients had was related to security of the platform. And I'm very happy to say that we are the only HIPAA certified mental wellness company in this country at this moment.
Okay.
So, because of HIPAA certification, which is actually an American act and related to the healthcare health data of the clients, so with that, we were able to prove a point that your information, your health data, and customer records with us is completely safe and would not land into the wrong hands. Because of which the client's confidence boosts tremendously, and they were able to identify the right psychologist, and they were able to take counseling from those psychologists. I have so people who have experienced this have gone for multiple sessions. Okay, they have gone for weekly sessions, sometimes bi-weekly sessions, depending upon the clinical condition of the client. So um, people have those who have seen the and experienced HopeQure have actually gone for multiple sessions immediately.
So when you talk about finding the right psychologist, how does somebody do that? Let's say in general, if I have to go and find a psychologist, how do I find the right psychologist for my problem? How does that work?
See, this is actually an individual's choice, and everyone has a very unique, different kind of reason to select a specific psychologist. And we have almost 700 on the platform to select from. But the language probably is one area which is one of the most important factor for people to select psychologists. People want to be in the local language, and second is the price. So we have psychologists available from almost like 300 rupees a session to like 5,000 rupees a session. So they can also range the and experience is another criteria. So they can actually find the full range basis the selection criteria. Also, there are experts available for anxiety, for bullying, for relationship, for breakup, for marriage counseling. We have relationship counseling in house. So which again is an area of we have seen a lot of couples coming in and taking this therapy for relationship counseling because of which they're now living a happy married life. So uh, people have different choices, but fortunately the platform gives them the choices and they're able to identify the right counselor for them. And in case if they need our help, then we have in-house psychologists whose job is to ensure that they get the right counseling.
Yeah, so this is my next question. You have rightly put that people have choices and they can figure out, with whom they want to go ahead and book the counseling. But let's say, there's somebody who is facing some sort of a, mental tension or problem. He or she is going through something in their mind, but they're not able to express it out. So how do they, how, if I have to ask you, what sort of tips or advice would you give to that person so that they can find the right psychologist for them or a counselor for them? How do that person figure out, whom to connect and whom to talk to?
So this is a very very important question, and we actually have some material on this on who is a therapist and why to see a therapist, okay, and how to select a therapist, okay, because finding a good therapist is not easy. Okay. So we have more we have some data available on the website. I would encourage the audience to go have a look at types of therapists and to select. So people get confused at times that who is a counselor, who is a psychologist, whether should I go to a psychiatrist or to a psychologist. Okay, should I see a relationship counselor versus should I see a clinical psychologist? But fortunately, we have enough information available on the website for people to learn from this and select. And in case if they are not able to, then they can contact our experts, and our experts would hear their problem and recommend the right psychologist to them. It could be psychotherapist, clinical psychologist, counseling psychologist, relationship psychologist, couple psychologist, psychiatrists.
Right, right. I agree. I agree. And there must be a lot of challenges that these patients and clients must be facing, right? Any sort of challenges that you have seen, which you want to highlight on the episode today, like something that you have seen specifically happen during these last 7 8 months.
Yes, we see some clients coming back to us saying that this psychologist doesn't suit me. Okay, and there is no criteria for them saying this. Okay, it is just that the two have not clicked together. Okay, and there could be any reason for this. So we don't ask questions in this case because this is where clicking and suiting each other's requirements is very critical. So we ask more questions and we help them find the right psychologist in that case. We have probably almost India's every reputed psychologist with us, and and across the board. So finding the right psychologist is not an issue for us, for the clients.
All right, all right. And I have a few friends who are themselves psychologists and counselors. So even I guess the business side of things are also taking a toll when it comes to this whole pandemic and things not working out for a lot of psychologists, because even they were earlier used to doing these in clinic one-to-one sessions. So what sort of tips you would like to give counselors and psychologists out there when they take these virtual sessions nowadays?
See, the physical sessions are gonna remain there. Okay, that's where the psychologists and the clients also kind of this is a age old therapy process, and they would connect together. But the online sessions are not gonna go. Okay, the now the clients have various needs. Okay, clients just want to have 15-minute sessions. Sometimes the client are just wanting to vent out. Okay, sometimes
Yeah.
they have a problem which can be discussed and sorted out in one session. So the other thing is the clients don't want to show their identity. Okay, they have a flexibility of booking it with an alias and talking to the psychologist with an alias. So so the for for psychologists in the field at the moment, my message is that continue to do the good work. But unfortunately, we have less than 10,000 psychologists in the country, trained psychologists in the country. And in a country of where 120 million people need intervention, mental wellness intervention from professionals, 10,000 is no number at all. So on one side, we have this problem of a lot of clients. On the other side, we have a problem where the psychologists are not getting clients. Okay, just because the clients are unable to find them, and that's where this platform helps them out. We are sorting out reach, the problem of reach through technology.
But how do we break the stigma? Because I speak to a lot of people, and earlier in a few of my episodes, I have interviewed psychologists, and they have spoken about a lot of things that people are going through these days. But that one question that keeps coming back to me is that how do we break the stigma in the society? I mean, I'm sure the millennials are still open to discussing all these things, but let's talk about my parents. Let's talk about people who are above 50 years of age. I guess how do we break that stigma with them in the society so that they can actually approach mental health in a better way and get help, whosoever requires it.
Yes. So, of course, we all want to live life happily. And as long as people recognize that they are not able to live life happily, okay, and there is a way out, they would be able to identify the process of going to the counselor. But the way we are working out is through various webinars. So we had one more interesting fact that happened is we found a lot of entrepreneurs and startup specialists and MSMEs. They getting the uh, clinical psychological problems during the pandemic. So we started conducting webinars for them. We started conducting webinars with PhD Chamber of Commerce for all the MSMEs in the country. We started conducting webinars for parents uh, for children in the age group of 8 to 14. We started conducting webinars for students and also for professionals like CA, chartered accountants, etc., lawyers, etc., to ensure that the voice of what to do in this case reaches everyone. We are able to give them the tricks and techniques to handle the problem, and what stage they should identify that now I have to go and meet a psychologist. So this critical decision when to take and what to do is if they are informed about, they would be able to take that decision. So this is where we are helping the society through the webinars.
Yeah, I guess that's a very valid point that you have made, Vivek, when it comes to understanding this whole journey, because I think this is a journey. This is not just, it's like, हाँ, बुखार हो गया, तो go and get a paracetamol. It's not like that. I guess this is way deeper, and the more people understand that, how deep this problem is, I guess that path, if somebody can show that path to that person, I guess that is where you start a meaningful conversation down the line, and then you get more responses, then you get more people in, and that is, I guess, is a good starting point of breaking the stigma in the society. What do you say about that?
I completely agree. Take for example migraine. Okay, when do you recognize that your headache is a migraine? Is a very critical thing. Okay, and the moment people recognize the headache is not a simple headache, it's a migraine, they go to the specialists. Okay, and that's in HopeQure we have both the neuropsychologists and the neuropsychiatrists to ensure that they are able to address the problem of as simple as migraine or as complicated as migraine. Okay, from multiple 360-degree holistic view to ensure that whatever triggers migraine should also be identified and the person should be taught about how to handle that. At the same time, if they need medicines, they should be also given medicines. So, similarly, for the parent group of 8 to 14, the 95% of the kids, general mental illness problems are goes unnoticed, and clinical problems only 70% actually only 30% is actually recognized, and 70% goes unnoticed. So
Yeah, so true.
so a lot of so parent education is required to ensure that the child remains healthy, and the so I think it's a generation thing. I think the millennials are doing a very good job in recognizing the issue and going to the therapists, and they understand that even breakup can have a long lasting impact on somebody's thought process. So post breakup, like a lot of people have started taking counseling. In the event of a grief, people have started taking counseling. So during we start seeing the rise in the request for counseling sessions just before marriage season, like this Lagan just concluded in the
Yeah.
middle of December. Okay, suddenly we found that a specific type of request stopped coming in. So then I asked the team that why that happened. They said the Lagan has complete now. There is no more marriage dates for the next 1 month. So we would hopefully not be seeing the this kind of counseling coming in. Um, so some of these things are like also new discovery for us. We identify people with breakups. The young generation millennials with breakups have gone to counselors, and it's a very good way of handling themselves. Okay, so they don't want
Yeah.
remaining in the room with a depressive or feeling. They want to go to the counselor, get themselves cured, get themselves out of the shock, and go and live their life happily. So yes, people are learning and people are changing also.
So true, Vivek. I completely agree with that. And Vivek, before we wrap up the episode, any final advice that you would like to give to people out there who are, still fighting this battle inside and not able to bring any change in their lives?
Yes. So I would have two suggestions for people. In general, first is, in case if you identify any of either they themselves or in their family or their friend circle, if you find anything which is unexplainable, any process, any thought process, any action, any activity which is unexplainable, please take professional help. Okay. At times, children in the age group of 10 to 12, those who are playing a lot, those who are running around, they suddenly stop talking. Okay. This is unexplainable. Take a professional's help. Ensure that the child gets, or whomsoever is the near dear relatives, friends, etc., family members, they get the right counseling. And the second thing is, in case if someone is going through the counseling, don't leave it in between. Okay, you would start feeling better after 2-3 sessions. Okay, you would get to know the turns and tricks and techniques about how to handle yourself. But then it's a full process. Okay, 3 sessions. If the process needs 20 sessions, go for 20 sessions. Process needs 5 sessions, go for full 5 sessions. Don't leave the counseling process in between, else you don't get completely treated.
So true, so true.
These would be my two suggestions to the people who have some kind of relation with this.
No, thank you so much, Vivek. I guess, these last two suggestions, I'm sure our socially desi audience will definitely understand and take heed of. And it's really important that, once you start your journey into, mental health, and you start doing these sessions with the counselors or psychologists or whomsoever you are, consulting with, make sure that you go, all the way. It's about, not leaving it in between. And like you said, people start feeling better after 2-3 sessions, and that is where a lot of people think, "Oh yeah, I'm fine. I don't need it anymore," and things can pile up back again onto you. So thank you so much, Vivek. You've been an absolute pleasure on the show today, and I'm sure our socially desi audience would have gained a many good insights from this episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anurag. Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity to connect with the audience of the Socially Desi, and I wish them good luck and a very happy New Year. And hope next year would be a lot more lively and a lot more enjoyable.
Thank you so much, Vivek, for being on the show today. And guys, definitely check out HopeQure.com as well as their Instagram page at HopeQure. They have such good informative information on the Instagram as well as on their blogs and the website. So definitely check out. We'll put down the links in the show notes below as well as on our website at sociallydesi.com. So that wraps it up for today, folks. If you like the episode, give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let's go viral. Remember, our weekly podcast features episodes on personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. We would love to have Vivek on the show again in the future to discuss more about mental health. So, if you haven't yet done so, hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com. And as always, before I sign off, remember, life is black and white and everything in between.